We have Kumashim for everybody today. Do we have books? We have enough books? If you want to do me a favor, go get a few more. Get 20 more, 25 more. Good morning. Shabbat Shalom. Good morning, good morning. Okay, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Shabbat Shalom. Is that okay?
They're on their way.
Yeah, good. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. I hope everybody is back in their homes. Everybody back home already? Don't breathe the air or drink the water, but everything else is normal again. So I hope everybody got home okay. We had lots and lots of families who were displaced this last week. And we just hope everybody got home. We didn't hear about anybody lost homes. The summer camps were destroyed. The Hilltop and, come on in there, Hilltop and Tess Kramer and JCA Shalom. So we'll hope that those get rebuilt. Come in. And we have a couple of members who are firefighters and told some amazing stories about bravery and sacrifice and strength. So we hope everybody is okay. And just pray for the next time. Couple of quick announcements. So this morning, following our Torah study, you're all invited. There's a wonderful service in the sanctuary. We want to wish the Hymans Mazel Tov. Jenny, their daughter, is finally getting married to a nice Jewish boy. And her Ufruf is this morning. So you don't have to get there till the 6th of Aliyah. So you could stay here till 11, you know. So Mazel Tov to you. Good morning. And then following that, there's a bar mitzvah, a wonderful kid having her kid I named. I'm getting so old. Kid whose parents I married, actually. And she's having her bar mitzvah. Following that, there's lunch. I think it's Blintz's. And then following that, at about 12:30, between 12:30 and 12:45, depends on how long the rabbi in the synagogue talks. That's me. We're going to be back. We're going to be back here, and our guest this week is Sarah Kramer, who's with us this morning. Sarah is one of the leaders of an extraordinary institution in Israel called Beit Berel, named for the great Zionist father Berel Katzenelson. It is the biggest teachers training college in all of Israel. It's actually the biggest institute of higher education in all of Israel. Now, if you know a little about Israel, here's the quick story. Tell me if I get this right. There are 4 school systems in Israel. Like only Jews would do this, right? There's Mamlachti, which is secular public school. There's Mamlachti Dati, which is religious public school. There is Haredi, which is ultra-religious public school. And there's the Arab system for Israeli Arab children. Beit Berel trains teachers for all 4 systems. So it's one of the very few places in Israel where secular, religious, ultra-religious, and Arab Palestinian people get to actually meet and talk about their common future. And if there's ever going to be peace in that part of the world, this is the people that are going to make it happen. She's going to come in. Sarah's going to talk to us about what that means, what it means to educate for a future Israel. So that'll be around 12:30. Free blintzes. Come back here. Bring your blintzes here if you'd like. You can eat in this room. And Sarah will be teaching us from about 12:30 till around 2. Okay? This coming week, thank you so much. This coming week is the Thanksgiving holiday. So we want to wish everybody a very sweet holiday. There will be no College of Jewish Studies on Wednesday night because it's Erev Yom Kippur, Erev Yom Tov. The pilgrims, of course, were, Jews, so they landed late at night, and it was Yom Tov already. Thursday, have a lovely holiday. Thank you. There's books for everybody now. Thank you so much. And we wish everybody a very nice Thanksgiving and a very productive Black Friday. Good morning, Aaron. It's good to see you. Good morning. Hey, good morning. How you doing? Grab some books, okay? Thanks, man. You can get all kinds of things you probably don't need, but get them cheap. So it's very important that you know that the day after giving gratitude for all the blessings that have come our way as Americans, we go out and obtain more blessings for discounted prices. We want to welcome the Herbst family. Good morning. Nice to have you guys here. Welcome. And we want to welcome Rabbi Gelman back from the exile. Right? And welcome, Pop. This morning we are in the middle. What?
Rabbi,
Yo.
you mentioned everything that was going on today in the temple, but the most important thing, and that would be the UCLA game.
Oh, yes. Let me tell you something. I have been watching carefully because I am devoted to this. Both. Because I'm ecumenical. As you know, I don't take sides. I'm not political. I would never say anything political. I have watched carefully the development of UCLA football and the development of SC football. And my dear friend, neither team has a prayer. That is my conclusion. Go figure. You know, I think a little beer and a hot dog will make it a nice afternoon for those who are watching the game, because nobody's going to win. I mean, it doesn't matter, and, you know, Yes, there's a famous phrase that comes from Notre Dame football. It was offered by the great, Newt Rockme, Gornished Helfen. Prayer is good, but defense is something nice to play once in a while as well. Sorry. Have a great time. Okay, we are at Parsha. If you have a Chumash, open please to page 166. We're in Parshat Vayetze. Okay? Good morning. Good morning. Now, sometimes when we look at Torah, we're looking for the deeper kind of meaning in the story. This week, actually, I just want to enjoy the narrative. The narrative is so remarkable in this set of stories. First of all, because in the case of Abraham, the first of the patriarchs, we begin his story when he's already 75 years old, and we only get snapshots along the way. For Isaac, it's just a vague shadow of his story. There really is no development of his character. Jacob is the first character in the Torah for which we have a full character picture, full character development. We know his birth, his growth, his development as a person. We even know what his last words are. We have the whole narrative arc of his life is given, and this is part of the story. This is the most interesting part of the story of Jacob. The second thing that makes Jacob's narrative unique, besides the fact that it's fully developed, fully drawn, is that he is us. We are, after all, B'nai Yisrael. We don't call ourselves B'nai Avraham. We don't call ourselves B'nai Yitzchak. We call ourselves B'nai Yisrael, children of Jacob, children of Israel, which means that anything that happens to him happens to us. That the narratives of Jacob's life and growth and development really are stories about our own internal life and growth and development. And it's an extraordinary narrative. And I'll give you the punchline first, because that's how rabbis are taught how to do this sort of thing. When we first meet Jacob, what is he doing? When we first meet Jacob, he and his brother are wrestling within their mother's womb. Wrestling is something he's going to do a lot of. And in the womb, in the dark, a lot happens in the dark to Jacob. There's a wrestling here. There's a wrestling with his new wife. There's a wrestling with the angel. There's a wrestling with the brother, and it all happens in the dark. And when we meet him, his brother is born, and he's holding onto the heel, and he's grasping. He's a grasping character. The word Yaakov, from the word Akev, holding onto the heel, the follower, the grasper, the one who's trying to catch up. It's all him. And as we meet him, last week's Torah portion, it's all his machinations. He is the ultimate con man. He's the trickster. He is the thief. That's who he is. And now he's going to go through a development. And this is the arc of his development. He's going to discover that it's not about him. This is the undoing of infantile egocentrism. He is the ultimate infantile egocentrist. All of us are born that way. Freud called us king baby. Because when we were babies, when we cried, everyone rushed over to help us. Some of us outgrow that. Some of us outgrow that.
Some of us become president.
But this grasping, this me, come and pay attention to me, come and take from me, come and give me, get me, buy me. Some of us outgrow that. But it takes a certain set of developmental moments for a person to outgrow that and discover that the locus of self is not me, but something much bigger. And that's going to be the story. That's going to be the story. So what we're going to do today is just a close reading of the narrative. We're going to enjoy the narrative, and we'll get into some of the meanings, because what the language of the story does, and here I'm going to yell at you again that you got to learn Hebrew, the language of the story keeps giving us these hints that there are deeper moments. Ellie, come in this room, please. There's people sitting outside. Come in, sit down. This room, I got chairs, I got laps, we got plenty of room. All right, you ready? Everybody, so let's take a look inside. It's on 166. You got that? Everybody got that? We're good? Good. Come in, make yourselves at home. Vayetze Yaakov mi Beersheva. Jacob left Beersheva. So right away, Rashi, who's the great 12th century commentator, Rashi, who captures every nuance of the text, Rashi says, why do you have to tell me that? Why doesn't it just say, Vayelech Harana? He started on his way to Haran. Remember, he'd stolen the birthright. His brothers swore a vendetta. As soon as mom and dad are dead, you're dead too, right? So his mother says, Nebuch, put on a sweater and go. Go back to my family. My family will take care of you. So he's on his way back, and his father says the same thing. So he's on his way. Vayelech Yaakov mi Beersheva. Why does it tell you he left? Now, it's interesting. Compare this journey for just a moment to the other journeys, right? Avraham is told, Lech lecha me'artzecha, leave town, leave home, to the place that I'm going to show you. Avraham doesn't know where he's going, but he knows that it's a one-way journey. He's leaving home to a new life, to a new place, to a new role. Yitzchak never leaves home. He stays home the whole time. He sends the servant out, but he stays home. Yaakov is going on a journey, and he's going to come back. Now, because you've read this before, you have a sense of how he's going to go out and how he's going to come back. He goes out alone. He's totally alone. In fact, alone is what you're going to see is the story here. Alone, and he's going to come back full. He's going to come back with 4 wives, 12 children, and a whole lot of sheep. He's going out empty and coming back full. This is not a journey forever. This is a round trip. But it's a trip that's going to change him. He's going to come back a different person. He's going to come back a different person. Vayetze Yaakov mi Beersheva. He's leaving the existence he had at Beersheva. He's leaving behind the childhood. And he doesn't know it, but we know. He's going to leave behind the infantile egocentrism and come back a very different person. Right? Vayelech Harana. He's on his way to Haran. Vayifga b'makom. 2 wonderful words. Now, the translator said, he came upon a certain place. Now, that's a strange phrase, isn't it? He came upon a certain... Of course he came upon a certain... Vayifga, the Hebrew word vayifga is an event. In Hebrew, if something terrible happens, if there's a bombing, they call it a pigua. Vayifga literally means socked in the face. Something happened to him. Bamakom. The word makom means a place. So he comes to a place. But in later Hebrew, in rabbinic Hebrew, makom is one of the names for God. Hamakom yinachem etchem, right? Hamakom is one of the names of God. So literally the phrase vayifga b'makom literally means God socked him in the face. Or let's put it this way, life socks him in the face. There are certain moments, especially when you look back at them later in your life, when you realize that you were going for a certain purpose, you were going with a certain expectation, you were going with a certain plan, and life socked you in the face. Anyone have one of those moments? When you don't know it when it's happening. When it's happening, it's like, oh, heck, right? But it's years later, you look back and you say, my God, what just happened? How did I get here? Vayifga b'makom. So that the Torah, the subtlety of the Torah language is giving you the hint that what's about to happen is fate is going to smack this boy in the face. Fate is about to tell this boy something about himself which he doesn't begin to understand. So what happens? Right? Vayelech Sham, he lies down in that place, he sleeps in that place. Kivah Shemesh, because the sun had set. Vayikach me'avnei hamakom, he takes from the stones of the place. Vayasem b'mirshatov, and he puts it under his head. I think I asked this last year. What kind of boy, what kind of person uses a stone for a pillow? Someone who was never a Boy Scout, right? Because when you're a Boy Scout, what do they teach you to use as a pillow? If you didn't bring a pillow, you use a towel, you use your sweatshirt, right? Nothing else works. You use your girlfriend, right? You find something soft and warm. Why would a person use a stone for a pillow? Because he has nothing else. Because he didn't stop to get a sweater. Because he didn't stop to get anything. Because he was so terrified that his brother was going to kill him on the spot. So terrified that his father would curse him when he found out that he ran out of the house. Go, 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 go. You got enough roof. Go, go, go. You don't have to apologize. You're the mother of the bride. Right? Mazel tov. You take a stone because you took nothing else. So the image is this man sleeping in the middle of nowhere on a rock because he has nothing else. He's leaving home naked. Now, tell me one more thing about Jacob. Where's he been sleeping up till now? Where's he been sleeping up till now? What else do you know about Jacob?
Mama's tent.
He's been living in Mama's tent. This is Mama's boy, remember? Esav was the one who went out and wrestled bears, right? Yaakov was the one who stayed home and worked crossword puzzles in pen. Yaakov is the guy who reads the New Yorker and the New York Review of Books and has urbane conversation and plays Scrabble. And, you know, Yaakov watches French art movies. Yaakov is this effete, you know, cultured man of the indoors. Well, in Hebrew, it's Yoshev. Oh, come on, Brian, get in here. Sit down. Come on, man. It's Torah. How you doing? It's Yoshev Ohalim. He's an indoors man. He's an indoors kid, right? He collects recipes. He you know, because we meet him cooking. I mean, you get this sense of, you know, in New York, when I lived in New York, one of the things I had to get used to, I grew up in California. We live outside. You know, as soon as, you know, it's because it's never winter here. We live outside. But you live in New York, you live inside. You know, starting somewhere around October, November, until somewhere around April, you live inside. You don't live outside. And you have to make do with inside life. And inside life, you have to make conversation and fancy recipes. And you know, this is what you... So he's an indoors guy. And all of a sudden, where is he sleeping? Outside. He is beginning to be exposed to the world in a manner that he's not used to. And he's alone. He's never slept alone in his life. He's never been outside the tent, never been outside the camp, never been outside the protection of the tribe, never been by himself, never had the opportunity to think for himself. Remember, it's Mama who shoves him into the father's place to get the blessing. He's never made a decision on his own. This is the first time in his life he's on his own. Do you get that sense? Anyone go away to college as a kid? You were 16, 17, 18 years old, and they sent you away to college, and the first night sleeping in the dormitory, and you realize that nobody here knows me? Nobody here knows me. Nobody here knows. And you go to the college commissary, and the lady behind the commissary says, "What do you want?" And you realize that your whole life, Mama's told you what's for dinner, and tonight you can have anything you want. You know, like, I'll have 4 scoops of ice cream, right, and a piece of lemon meringue pie, right? I mean, just have this sense of like it's the complete open freedom of the aloneness, and at the same time the complete exposure and vulnerability of the aloneness, right? And he stops and taking one of the stones on his head, and he had a dream. He falls asleep and he has a dream. Nighttime. This story, the entire Parsha takes place at night. Now, there are days and nights. The sun comes up and down. But nighttime is the symbol. What happens to you at nighttime? Because what's going to happen in the beginning of the next Torah portion is the sun's going to rise. This Torah portion starts with the sunset, and next week it starts with the sunrise. So this is all about nighttime stuff. And all the important stuff in Jacob's life happens at nighttime, or in the dark. He's going to steal his brother's birthright and blessing in the dark. He's going to meet God in the dark. He's going to meet his wives in the dark. And then he's going to meet God again, or the angel, at the end of the story in the dark. And then the sun's going to come up. He has a dream. And what does he see in the dream? It's because he listens to a lot of Led Zeppelin. He sees a stairway to heaven. That's what happens when you listen to a lot of rock and roll. Sulam mutzav arza, a sulam, a stairway, a ladder. Mutzav arza, stuck in the ground. Virosho magia shamaima. He sees this ladder from earth to heaven. V'hinei malchei Elohim olim v'yordim bo. And he sees the malachim, the angels going up and down. Now it's interesting, by the way, bo. Bo means on it. So on it means on the... Well, that's what you'd presume the pshat to be. The pshat would be that the angels are going up and down on the ladder. How about this? What if bo doesn't mean on the ladder, it means on Jacob? Right. Well, he has this, he has this dream, and he sees this ladder, this connection to heaven and earth. And then he suddenly sees that he himself is filled with all these conflicting urges and opinions and desires and needs and values. The angels going up and down represent the inner conflict within him. How's that one? That's interesting. A different one, right? V'hinei Adonai nitzav alav. And God is standing next to him. What an interesting dream. What do you suppose God looks like in the dream? Don't answer that, right? Vayomer ani Adonai, I am God, Elohei Avraham Avicha ve'Elohei Yitzchak. I am the Lord your God, Father of your Abraham, God of Isaac. The ground on which you're lying, I assign to your offspring. Your descendants will be as dust of the earth, spread out northeast, southwest. All the families of the earth shall bless yourselves by you and your descendants. Remember, I'm with you. I'll protect you wherever you go. I'll bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I've done what I've promised you. If this is your first night away at UCLA, if this is your first night away from home at summer camp, if this is the first time in your life you've ever slept out in the open by yourself on a rock, what's the one thing you want to hear? I'm watching out for you, right? This is a projection of the fantasy parent into the sky who is watching out for me. I'm your father in heaven, right, Billy?
But does it also mean that once I've fulfilled my promises, I'm going to leave you?
No, does it say that?
Well, it says once,
I'm going to get you home. That's all you care about at this moment is the journey. I will get you home.
But I will leave you.
I'm good. Well, we'll see what happens next.
Okay.
I'm going to get you everything I promised you. You're going to get home, boy chick. But what he doesn't promise is him, you're going to get home, but not whole, and not safe, and not unchanged. You're going to get home okay, but you're going to be a very different person when you come home. That's what he does. That's what we know and he doesn't know. That's what we know and he doesn't know, right? And just incidentally, just so that you get to pick the mythological picture in its fullness, everything that's important to Abraham happens in the morning. Everything that's important to Isaac happens in the late afternoon, and everything that's important to Jacob happens at night. Right? The tradition says that Abraham invented Shacharit, the morning prayers, Isaac Mincha, the afternoon prayers, and Yaakov Mariv. Yaakov Mariv. Yaakov is the man of the night, because everything's going to happen to him in the dark. Wait, hold on to your seat, right? Jacob awoke from his sleep. Well, yes and no. It's going to take him 20 years to awake from his sleep. The next 20 years is in that verse. It takes 20 years for him to wake up and finally realize who and what he is in the world. And he said, and here's this great line. There's a wonderful scholar named Larry Kushner who wrote a whole book about this one verse, right? Achen. Achen means oy vey. Achen, yo, right? Oy. Achen is an exclamation. Achen. Yesh Adonai b'makom hazeh. Translate. Yesh Adonai, there is God, b'makom hazeh.
In this place.
God is in this place, right? Va'anochi, and I, lo yadati.
Didn't know.
So the pshat is, God lives in this place, and heck, I didn't know that. I didn't know that I was sleeping in a holy place. I didn't know that. But it's a weird verse, isn't it? Look at the words again. If you just, again, I'm sorry for doing this in Hebrew, but you got to learn Hebrew, folks, right? Yesh Adonai b'makom hazeh. God's in this place. Okay. Va'anochi. You don't need the word va'anochi. You could just say v'lo yadati. That would be enough. Lo yadati. The Hebrew lo yadati means I didn't know that. Right in the middle of the verse is the word anochi, which means, no, you're going to be better than I. Now wait, it can be lots of different I's. Yes. Yesh Adonai b'makom hazeh va'anochi. God's in this place, but I am in this place. In the middle of the verse is I, because in everything in the middle of life is Jacob's I. Jacob is the egocentric person. I'm in this place. Or how about doing it the other way around? Yesh Adonai b'makom hazeh, comma, va'anochi lo yadati. I don't know myself. I don't know myself. How's that? In other words, once I confronted God, what do I discover? I have no idea where I fit in the world. I don't know where I am. God's here, but I don't know where I am. Where am I? Right? Or better yet, Yesh Adonai makom hazeh va'anochi lo yadati. Right? Only when I get rid of my anochi, only when I can suppress my own I, can I discover that there's God in this place. It's a very sophisticated verse, right? In order to fall in love, let's speak rationally. What do you have to do to the I, to the ego, to fall in love? Right? You know, the boy who comes to tell me, he says, I love this girl, I want to marry her. I said, it's wonderful, great. She's everything to me. She checks every one of my boxes. That's the phrase, by the way, they use it. And he means it, by the way, literally, because he put a thing up on one of those dating sites, and she, checked every one of the boxes. I mean, and she does for me everything that I need her to do. That's what he tells me. Well, but that's so. And he says to me, I just don't know if I'm ready to marry. And I said, I'm playing possum, so I say, why's that? I learned that from my shrink friends, right? Don't explode on him yet. First talk, and or better yet, what you do is just go, Right? My daughter's in a PhD program in clinical psychology. It took her 2 years to learn how to go, They have a whole class in that, by the way, right? There's a whole symphony of hmms that therapists have to learn. And he says to me, because what if I meet somebody else afterwards? You ever hear this story? Who checks more boxes? So what am I supposed to say to this boy? Rabbi, what am I saying to this boy? No?
I'm retired. I don't even... Oh, you want Rabbi Gelman. He's not here now.
You can hide behind those shades, but we know who you are.
I left my glasses in the car.
Rabbi Silverman, what do I say to this young man? Between the two of you, you have 500 years of rabbinic experience.
Okay.
All right.
You want to know the actual truth
I
here?
do, but achein lo yadati.
Okay.
Achein yesh adam.
Everything I've learned
I know.
about brides and grooms.
Yes.
One thing,
Okay.
one sentence.
Yes.
Do they laugh and do they touch?
Okay.
I didn't at the end, I didn't even listen to them in the premarital counseling. I just looked.
Yeah.
Did they touch each other when they were, because if you are going to marry someone, you have to want to touch them a lot.
Right.
Secondly,
Yeah.
you have to be able to laugh.
Okay.
So other than that, as if they didn't touch and laugh, I knew they were in trouble. If they touched and laughed, no matter what else they said, no matter what other problems, I knew they'd be okay.
That's nice. Hello, what do you think?
I listen.
You listen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You look for these signs. I used to think that I could guess. I used to think when I was young,
But never guess.
yes, I can't guess. There are couples that I thought would never last.
Right, and they
Last forever, and there are couples that I thought were perfect for each other, and But this is an interesting. The anochi, where is the I? How prominent is the I? Is the anochi? Is this about me and my needs, or is this about you and your needs?
Oh, this was a big thing.
Okay, hang on.
They'd sit-
Wait, give him the mic. I want to get this for
This
posterity.
was a big thing.
Yes.
So I would always ask them just one question.
Yeah.
What do you love about the other one?
Okay, good.
What do you love?
Yeah.
And women, the brides to be, always were eloquent. They were articulate. They had a list that was beautiful. He feels wonderful. I love him, and he's kind and generous. Just terrific.
Right.
In touch with their feelings.
Right.
The majority answer over thousands of weddings from grooms.
Yeah.
I've distilled it in this paragraph.
Please.
What do I love about her, Rabbi Gelman? What do I love about her? 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 That's what they say. That's what they say. This is how articulate men are about their feelings. Occasionally, rarely, I got a groom who was Ish Tamboala. He was a simple man of the tents.
Right.
And he was in touch with his feelings. So what would he say? I love her because she lets me have the remote. There is no reason for men to get married. There's no reason. Because they aren't ready for it. They don't know what it means. They don't know what emotional readiness is. They don't know what ego suppression is. Nothing. Women all know everything right away. It's an unfair thing. That's what I think.
We didn't rehearse this, by the way. I just asked him a question.
I'm so glad to be back.
We missed you. Hang on, one at a time. Michael, you got a comment?
Woody Allen?
No, he's in a great mood. Pass it back. No, we want to get you on tape for posterity, you see. Be careful what you say. It's
Real simple.
it's like the White House. Where
I would argue that for many of us, we learn to be in touch with our emotions by getting married.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. But that's what this Torah portion is about. The Torah portion starts with this idea, and this is my thesis about this Torah portion. It starts with the picture of Yaakov, and the word Anochi sticks out in the middle of that line. Because that's who he is at the beginning of the journey. It's all about him. It's all about me and what I'm going to get and how I'm going to do and who's going to help me and who's going to be my enemy and who I have to con and who I have to trick and it's all about him. Anochi sticks in the middle of that sentence like a thumb in your eye. Anochi, it's about me. And now watch how he responds. God just gave him the blessing that every human being asks for in life. You're going to go through life and I'm going to take care of you. You're going to go through life and I'm going to bless you. Not only am I bless you, you're going to be a source of blessing to the world, and I will make sure you get out of this whole and well. And now he responds, turn a page. Early the next morning, Jacob took the stone he put under his head. He set it as a pillar. That's how you make a holy place. You anoint a stone. So much cheaper than building buildings, I'm telling you. Trust me on that, right? And he names the place Beit El. Right, it's Beit El. It used to be called Luz, it says. It's a little place just north of Yerushalayim. It's 20 minutes drive north of Yerushalayim. We used to walk it when I was in university because it's now you can't because there's a border there. Mazel tov. But it's right there. Jacob made a vow saying, I love this. He makes a vow to God. Now, what would be the right response? Thank you, God. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you for your gift. But to say thank you, gratitude requires humility. And humility requires a sense of yourself that's not self-oriented, self-centered. He can't do that yet. He's not ready. So this is the egotistical prayer. This is the teenage egotistical prayer. If God remains with me, and if he protects me on the journey that I'm making. And by the way, I don't want just spiritual protection, metaphysical over. I want if he gives me bread to eat and clothes to wear. You're not laughing. And if I return safely to my father's house, then the Lord shall be my God. So the guy who cons everybody is trying to con the Lord. Right? And wait. And don't think that I'm not ungrateful. No. And this stone which I've set up shall be God's abode, and of all that you've given me, I shall set aside a tithe. I will set aside, if you bring me back and I don't die on this journey, I'll make a donation 10%. You know? 10%. Anonymous, right. Well, with a big plaque, a dinner. 10%. 10%. I'm going to give you 10%, right? I'll give you 10%. Right? Right? It's just God. So for him, God is like the mafioso. He's like, nice covenant you got there. You know? Be ashamed if anything bad happened to it, right? This is his game. This is his game. But now we're going to see, how does the young man learn humility? How does the young man learn gratitude? How does the young man grow a proportional sense of self? How does the anochi begin to fade and something bigger comes to take its place? Got a couple questions. Farzan, Mazel Tov to Farzan. Her daughter just got married. It's a good season for marriages there. Mazel Tov.
Thank you very much.
He's a lovely young man. He's a dentist.
And he's in touch with his family.
Sorry?
And he's in touch with
his family. His name is Bruchim. He comes with a blessing. I mean, it was a beautiful wedding.
Thank you.
You should be very joyful. It was a beautiful wedding. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, Rabbi,
yes.
Jacob seems to me
yes.
as a non-believer. He doesn't know God. It seems like this is his first encounter
yes.
with God.
Right.
And he is one who still doesn't believe in God.
He believes in the sense that he's talking to him, but he doesn't believe in the sense that there's any sense of loyalty. God is another factor that he has to overcome, that he has to co-opt. You're right. This is a very strange religion. So what you're getting in Jacob is something which is unique. It happens in modern novels, but you can see it here in the Torah already, which is the development of a character. You're not born whole. You're not born whole. You're born very small, and you grow. And growth is this, and the metaphor for growth in Western culture is the road. We all go on journeys. Journeys is the most common metaphor in Western literature because it represents growth, right? Dorothy has to go from Kansas to Oz and back to Kansas again. And first of all, she meets friends along the way. She meets adversity along the way. That's the journey. That's what Joseph Campbell called the journey of the hero, right? In the Lord of the Rings is a journey story. Okay, Pilgrim's Progress is a journey story. Canterbury Tales is a journey story. Jack Kerouac wrote On the Road. They're all journey stories. We write journey stories because we're trying to represent the internal change of a character by representing it as an external pilgrimage. A journey, and the hero doesn't know what's going to happen to me along the way, how I'm going to get through this adversity, and who I'm going to be when I'm done. Who I'm going to be when I'm done. I mean, the real question of the Wizard of Oz is, can Dorothy go back to black and white Kansas and be happy? Once you've experienced the Technicolor of Oz, right? Are you ready to go back to that? You really want to go back to that world now that you've changed? That's the question. Please.
Isn't Yaakov testing God here?
Testing God?
Yes.
Yeah, in a certain way. I think it's more conning him. This is a manipulation. It's manipulation. If you give me what I want, I'll give you a deal. I'll make you a deal. Let's do a little business. Let's do some. I'll give you my loyalty. 10%. Right? In exchange. And you're like, what? And that's what Farzan's idea is like, what kind of, that's a very small-minded religion. And now there are a lot of people, by the way, that practice that religion. Right? There was a guy when I was a kid. Remember Reverend Ike? Anybody know who Reverend Ike was? Right? You will smell money, If the Lord blesses you, you will have, and Osteen is a similar theology, but he's much, much slicker. Joel Osteen. You know who Joel Osteen is? A guy in Houston. with a big smile on. Everything's going to be fine. Because God loves you. There are no problems in life that you can't get through. It's going to be fine. Let me introduce my wife, you know. And this beautiful blonde lady comes up. And says, Joel is so right. It's going to be just fine, you know.
Yeah, and he's talking to 2 million people.
I know.
How many people are you talking to? I mean, let's just get this straight. He's got a simple message.
No, it's true.
You've got a
It's
message
true.
that takes a week to figure
I
out.
know. If you figure it out. If you figure it out.
There may be something to that.
Yeah, but hang on a minute. You're right. But there's
Simple. Simple.
There's You had a chance to rest over the fire, didn't you? Yeah. You're on fire here.
I got another thing.
Who's got the microphone? Yes, Sarah.
So why does God put up with that?
Because he knows, God knows, this is the journey he has to take. Take a look at the next story. Here we go. Now it's going to start. He needs to make the journey before he's going to be changed. He needs to take the journey. So here we go. Are you ready? Jacob resumed. Vayisa Yaakov raglav, which literally means he picked up his feet and he kept walking. Vayelech arza b'nei kedem. He gets to the east. He goes back east. Okay? And there before his eyes was a well. Now, wells in the old world are places you go to meet girls. You go to the watering hole, and that's where you meet your lover, right? That's the way it works, okay? So he goes to the well, right? And 3 flocks of sheep were lying beside it, for the flocks were watered by the well. The stone on the mouth of the well was large. When all the flocks were gathered there, the stone be rolled from them, and the well sheep would be watered in the stone. They give you the whole story. In order so that no one shepherd would steal all the water, it was a spring in the middle of the desert. They put a giant stone on it that only all the shepherds together could move, and that way it was a mechanism for sharing the water. Not too bad, right? Jacob said, "My friends, where are you from?" And they said, "We're from Haran." And he says, "Do you know Lavan, the son of Nahor?" That's his uncle, right? Nahor. Now, remember, they're related on both sides. This is Abyssal Meshuggah, right? But his mother, Jacob's mother, is Rivka, and Rivka is Lavan's sister. Is that clear? But Jacob's father is Isaac, and Isaac's father is Abraham, and Abraham is Nahor's brother. So he's related on both sides. You get that? Don't try this at home. And they said, "Yes, we do." He says, "Is he well?" He says, "Yes. There's his daughter Rachel coming with the flock." And Jacob knows enough about sheep breeding to know, wait, it's not right. It's too early. It's broad daylight. Too early to round up the animals. Water the flock and take them out to pasture. Shouldn't you be going back out again? And they said, "No, we can't until all the flocks are rounded up. Then the stone is moved off the mouth of the well, and we water the sheep." And while he was still speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's flocks. She was a shepherdess. Are you ready? Here's the beginning. Here's the beginning. Here it comes. And when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of his uncle Lavan, and the flock of uncle Laban, Jacob went up and rolled the stone off the mouth of the well, all by himself. Right? Superhuman strength. A rock is rolling off of his heart. This is the rock that sits in the middle of his heart. The rock that tells him he has to grasp everything in life or else somebody else is going to get it. And somehow this rock rolls off. Why? Because he sees Rachel. Then Jacob kissed Rachel and broke into tears. This is the first time in the Bible anybody cries. Father Jacob cries. Why? Why does he cry?
She looks like mom and she's hot.
So thank you, Dr. Freud. He falls crazy in love with this girl at first sight. And Douglas, unfortunately, is right. Right? This is his first cousin. This is his mother's brother's daughter. And also his cousin on the other side, too. but it's his mother's brother's daughter. And so she looks, for the boy who grew up in Mama's tent, here is a girl who looks a lot like Mom, but she's young and cute, you know, and hot, as it were. And he falls crazy in love with her. This is everything he's been looking for in his life. Finally, there's someone who's going to love him, not because he has to manipulate her. He doesn't have to make her love him. There's no machinations to this. She's going to love him because she's her. And he loves her because she's her, right? And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's kinsman, and he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. And hearing the news of the sister's son Jacob, Laban ran to greet him. He embraced him and kissed him and took him into the house. And he told Laban all that happened and said, "You are my bone and my flesh." That sound familiar to anybody? That's what Adam, that was when Eve was created. Bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. We are one. He found his way home to the place that he belonged. At least he thinks so, right? Yes, go ahead.
I have a question.
Good.
And that is, when you read the road stories, The Wizard of Oz, the Lord of the Rings, those characters start out as inherently sympathetic and likable. Frodo takes the burden of the ring.
Yeah.
Dorothy is abused by
Yeah, right.
like Margaret Hamilton in Kansas. So you're looking at these characters and they're sympathetic. Jacob, when we meet him, is the least sympathetic character that we've come upon, other than Cain, who murders his brother.
Yeah.
He's not likable.
Yeah.
So this is our ancestor. He's not likable.
Right.
It's frustrating.
I'm going to go farther. I always say, if the Bible hadn't been written by Jews, you'd accuse it of being anti-Semitic. You are his children. You are B'nai Yisrael, which means this manipulative egocentrism, this selfishness, this closed-mindedness, this is part of us. We live with this. Wait, I'll get better. In a moment, we're going to discover the character of Lavan. We like to think of ourselves as the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We're the grandchildren of Lavan. Just keep that in mind. You have a dose of Lavan in you too, Laban. You have a dose of Lavan in you too. This is a story about, this is a story which is brutally honest about the moral potentials of our people. That's also here. Okay? You're right. That's also here. The question isn't, am I born a chosen people? You're not. You're born like this. The question is, can I grow into being a chosen people? Can I follow my journey and find my way to some sort of holiness? That's the great question that the Torah is asking. And by the way, it doesn't answer it. Because the moment you'd think you'd get the answer at the end of Deuteronomy, what do? We roll it back to the beginning and start all over again. So that's the ongoing question. You're not born whole.
I like Frodo from page 1.
I know. That's because Tolkien wrote it differently than the Torah wrote its story, right? But there are lots of... Yeah. Well, the question...
I admired him at the end.
All right, let's get... Go ahead.
I think that there are two elements that...
Speak up a little louder, okay?
We have to look at two elements that are very important in the story. First of all, when he sees Rachel, he doesn't only see Rachel. He also sees the flock of Lavan.
Listen, I told you before, every girl is beautiful, but a girl with 100,000 shares of Apple stock is positively ravishing.
And the other element comes at the very end of Jacob's life.
Yeah.
We think of Jacob as being, growing. He doesn't really grow very much. He is sporadic. He has a sporadic.
So here's the symbol of that, of course, is that everybody's name changes in this story, right? Avram becomes Avraham, Sarai becomes Sarah, right? And no one ever goes back and calls him Avram again.
Right.
No one ever calls her Sarai again. But Jacob's name will be changed to Yisrael And he will go back and forth between the two names.
And at the end of the story,
Because character is more complicated.
but the most important thing is at the very end of the story.
Yeah.
Here, Jacob now has a son who is the vice premier of Egypt, basically.
Right.
The viceroy of Egypt.
Right.
He has saved Egypt.
Right.
He has been able to pardon his brothers for an egregious sin that they did to him.
Right.
He saved his brother Benjamin. And then when Pharaoh asks him, by the way, how old are you? And all he can say is, oy vey, I'm an old man and I've been through horrible things.
Right.
Instead of saying, look what a wonderful thing happened to my son.
Right.
Joseph.
Yeah, I lived 138 miserable years. he
Miserable.
says.
And that's all he, and so what we do is we get...
It's like the punchline of a good New York joke, you know.
He returns back to where he was right at the very beginning. He
I don't
doesn't
know.
change.
I don't know. That's a very good question. Does he really change? What changes? What does it take to change? That's what the story is. Because look, what is the bigger story here? The bigger story is we're going to go from Egypt to Canaan. Do we change? Do we ever change? And the bigger story than that is this book is edited in exile. The temple is destroyed, and whoever's left among the Judeans carries these documents back to Babylon. And by the waters of Babylon, we sit and we try to figure out what just happened to us. And so the question of can we change becomes the operant philosophy, because if we can't, then we're never going to get out of exile, we're never going to get out of Babylon, and we never deserve it. So this question of can we change, do people change, can people learn, this is the operant question of the text. This is the operant question of the text, right? And some days, I don't know if you read the morning paper, it's the Torah against the morning paper, right? The Torah seems to say, maybe, right? The Washington Post says, the CIA determined that MBS killed Khashoggi, and you say, like, good God, what kind of world you living in? I mean, you got it exactly right.
But I think the writers of the text understood that this is not how we should be, it is what we should learn.
Well, that's because you're going to see what happens in a minute. What happens in a minute is this is the education of Jacob, the curriculum that he goes through. Is a very bitter and difficult education. That's what he's going to go through. It's not an easy process becoming a mensch. It's not an easy process at all. Who had the mic? Ryan?
Oh, just a quick observation about like the Frodo and Dorothy thing compared to Jacob.
Yeah.
Frodo and Dorothy, we like him at the very beginning of the book.
Yeah.
They are the beginning of the book. Jacob is not the beginning of the book.
That's true. He's not the beginning of the book. But it's trying to present you with a sort of, a narrative arc that takes you from this certain character to a certain different kind of character. Right?
Part of the story of the family.
Right. Oh, yes. Oh, gosh, yes. Because that's where it happens. But it would be wonderful if the story was he went out into the desert and sat in a cave at Mount Sinai for 40 years, and the Lord came to him, and he was turned into a mensch. That would be a different story. Right? But that's not how people grow up. You grow up in a family, at least most of us do. And the dynamic of family is this very complicated dynamic. You're all going to have Thanksgiving next week. Good luck. Right? I mean, what is Thanksgiving? It's the great American holiday of forbearance, right? I'm going to publish a thing. It's going to be in the newsletter this week, about how to sit with people at the table that you violently disagree with and not get hit with a turkey leg. Right? Because I think we got to figure this out. Because, if you're going to heal the country, we got to start by healing the turkey. You got to heal the table. Because how do you sit with people that this is family, right? Okay? What we ought to do on Thanksgiving really is switch families. That would be a better idea, but that's another year. Yeah.
Just quickly, the thing that I don't understand about the story, and I never have, is why these are terrible people. No, seriously. I mean, God chose.
They're real people.
Yeah, they're real people, but God chose Jacob, who's a con man.
Yeah.
His mother, who is a liar.
Yeah.
And
Yes, grandfather, he's a pimp. I mean, we can
No,
go
no,
through
no,
the
no,
whole story.
and raise this.
No,
and-
it's true. I
and,
mean,
and
we
raise
did that story, remember? You're right.
and raise this con man.
You're right.
So why is? I mean, I understand you're saying it's about change and about having this journey and whatnot, but why these people?
Because I think it's a wonderful question, right? Like when we would go through, remember the old days when there were photographs, and you used to have cameras with film, and you'd take them to Photomat, and they would develop them, and it cost you a fortune, and you'd bring them back, and then you went through them, and you had some of the pictures where the kids were cross-eyed or making rabbit ears, and you threw those out, and you put all the really nice ones in an album, right? So that when you look back at it years later, everybody was all polished and clean and smiling. You know? That would be how I would write the Bible. I would write if I were writing the Bible, we would all be born sinless, you know, giving, kind, generous, you know?
Didn't the Christians do that?
In a certain way they did, yeah, you know, immaculate conception. But in the sense of sin. But that's I think that the Torah chooses not to do that. Now you have to guess why. Remember the first day we did this, I said there's no reader's introduction to the book. There's no preface. There's no explanatory note. You have to extrapolate from what you got, what the intentions of the authors were. Okay? In the Midrash, and the Midrash then is picked up largely by the Orthodox, more Orthodox brothers and sisters who write Bible commentaries, they flatten out the morality of the text into pure righteousness. They will tell you why Jacob is a righteous man in all cases. I don't think that's the pshat of the text. I think the text is closer to Mike and your frustration of, my God, what kind of people are these people? You cheat your blind father, steal the birthright from your closed-minded brother, your mother manipulate. I mean, it's it's a hell of a family. That's except it's better. I mean, it's a dynasty's off the air. This is still being read. I mean, but here's the point. Can you see sparks of holiness and righteousness in the process? Because as I think what you said before is, if you're going to create righteousness in this world, it's going to be with this human material. If you go into the world, when I was a kid and we were idealistic, I had hair and left-wing ideas, and I thought we were going to change the world, right? Everywhere man is in chains, but he's born free, and all we have to do is gather the workers of the world and unite and have a revolution, and there'll be power to the people, and it'll be the greening of America. And then we discovered what people are, they're not such nice people. If you're going to green America, it's going to be out of these people. I think that's what I extrapolate from this. Can you find the sparks of holiness in this circumstance? That's, I think, what it's trying to reach to, because I think the Torah is written, I told you before, it's a dialogue between two characters, to me, the idealist and the realist. And the idealist who says, yes, we can bring holiness. Kedoshim tihiyu ki kadosh ani Adonai. You can be holy because God is holy and God created you and you have God within you. And then the realist who says, yeah, but not right away. It's going to take some work. Don't get disillusioned, says the realist. This is going to take a lot longer than you think. I think that's the dialogue that goes on here. To me, that's what I extrapolate from this text. All right, let's do one more story, because this is the juiciest one of all. This is just the, you think you said oy vey yet? Wait, one more. When he'd stayed a month, Laban said, just because you're a kinsman, you shouldn't serve me for nothing. Tell me what your wage is. Laban had 2 daughters. Now, this is such a great line. The name of the older one was Leah. The name of the younger was Rachel. Leah had weak eyes. Rachel was shapely and beautiful. Leah had weak eyes. Rachel was good looking. Remember Fiddler on the Roof? The way she sees and the way you look, it's a perfect match, right? Right? That's a great thing. Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, I'll serve 7 years for your younger daughter, Rachel. Laban said, better I give her to you than a stranger. So Jacob served 7 years. They seemed to him but a few days because of his love for her. He's crazy in love. Young men will do this, right? Anyone here have teenage daughters? This is the answer. Tell your daughter, if he loves you, let him work for your dad 7 years. Then he can have you. Don't touch her. I mean, I just want you to imagine that Thanksgiving table in year 4, 5, 6, 7. You know, I'm just, never mind. Turn the page. Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife, for my time is fulfilled, that I may cohabit with her. It's kiba elak, I mean, I can avoa elak, that I can come to her, I can be with her. And Laban gathered the people of the place, they made a feast. Mazel tov. And when evening came, he took his daughter Leah and brought her to him, and he cohabited with her. Laban had given his son Zilpah. The maids go with the girls. When morning came, this is so beautifully written. When morning came, Vayehi baboker, na 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 na. A springtime breeze blowing through the chiffon curtains on the window. And here is the young man, the morning after his wedding night, having finally fulfilled his carnal dreams, and wrapped in the bedspread, turning one way, and the girl is wrapped up, turning the other way. And he wakes up and is happy and turns to her and says, honey, we're married. And she turns over, V'hinei hi Leah. V'hinei hi Leah. Right? Where is it? V'hinei baboker, V'hinei hi Leah. V'hinei hi Leah. You see the scene through his eyes. Oh my God, it's Leah. Oh, come on, a little better than that. I mean, you know, holy heck, it's you worked 7 years for the girl of your dreams. Hinei hi Leah. It's like, and you know, like what the? And then he runs outside, wrapped in the Chantilly bedspread, and finds Laban outside, like doing business, you know, because it's 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. Vayomer el Lavan, mazoda sitali. What did you do to me? What did you do to me? Now, there's a huge midrashic tradition about how this was carried off. Because if you think about it for just a moment, who had to be in on the plot? Rachel. Well, Rachel had to be in on the plot. Leah had it. Well, Jacob is the one fooled. In order to fool Jacob...
Don't tell me he didn't know.
No, that's the point. He didn't know. He didn't... No, he didn't know. He didn't know. But how do you pull it off if you don't know? So there's a midrash that said that they had codes, secret codes, and that Rachel gave the codes to Leah so that she would not be shamed on her wedding night, that this was an act of sisterly generosity. So later on, what's going to happen is Leah, I'll give you the end of the story. So Rachel's going to die in childbirth, be buried on the road to Bethlehem, and the Israelites are going to pass by her grave, and she's going to cry to God in the imagination of the prophet Jeremiah. And God is going to say, why should I listen to you? And Rachel's going to say, I protected the dignity of my sister. You protect the dignity of my children. And God will say, you said right. I will bring them home in a generation. That's the midrash. Then there's another midrash which is even more racy. So anyone who's under the age of whatever, hold your ears. Which is that it wasn't codes. Rachel actually hid under the bed. So it was Rachel speaking to Jacob when he said, I love you. It was Rachel's voice because she didn't want her sister to be humiliated. And then you got to ask, where's the mother in all this? What mother would allow this happen to her daughters? And where's Leah? Why would Leah be complicit in this? It's a very complicated story in a certain way, but in the other way, so at night, in the darkness of Isaac's blindness, Jacob steals the blessing. In the darkness of the wedding night, in the darkness of Jacob's desire, Laban switches the girls. And then in the darkness of the night going home, he's going to meet the angel to wrestle. It's the darkness where all of this takes place. It's the darkness where Jacob realizes what it means to live the egocentric life. And the manipulator gets manipulated. The trickster gets tricked. And this is what ends up happening. And then, of course, there's another way to think about it. And the other way to think about it, I think we did this a couple years ago. The other way to think about it is, everybody marries Leah. Everybody marries Rachel and wakes up with Leah. no. Think. Everyone, because you marry the person of your dreams. It's you marry the person of your dreams. You marry the person who's the object of your passions. But if a marriage is going to work, somebody has to take out the garbage, get the oil in the car changed, do the taxes, raise the children, organize the household. And if you can't make your peace with that dichotomy, that we marry both the person who is the passion, the object of my passions, but also my partner in creating a home and a family and a future. Leah is the practical one. Leah is the one who gets stuff done. In a minute, she's going to start having babies like there's no tomorrow, right? Leah is the one who knows how to get stuff done. Rachel's the object of his passions. And you marry both. A marriage is about both partners. And a successful marriage is that you desire both of them, because both of them are important to the development of your soul and the development of our home. So because Hinei Leah means behold, she's Leah. I mean, that's exactly what happens. You wake up in the morning, and it's the partner of life. It's not just the passion. At night, she may be the object of passions, but in the morning, someone's got to take the dog out for a walk. And that's what happens in the course of a marriage. And now Jacob's going to scream, and he's going to say, he'll give you another 7 years. And now, what's interesting about this marriage, here is the split. So think for just a moment now about Jacob. This is our last thing. Jacob, who is a split character, right? He was a twin. What is a twin? A split character. He has a shadow named Esau. Esau is Jacob's shadow. He's a split character. The manipulation is always about splitting. What's the tragedy of this marriage? Nobody gets what they want. What does Leah most want? She wants to be loved. What does Jacob most want? Rachel. What does Rachel most want? Children. Nobody gets what they want. Nobody gets what they want. There's desire, there's need, but it's always a split. There's no wholeness in this household. There's no wholeness in this household. And then I want to give you the last line of the story. So go to the very end of the Parsha. Actually, we're going to go beyond that. I'm going to give it to you in just a moment. I just got to find it. Right? Where is Benjamin? Somebody find me Benjamin. The birth of Benjamin. I lost the birth of Benjamin. Yeah, I'm trying to find it real quick. Can somebody find me the birth of Benjamin here?
Look in the index.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, here it is. Page 214. 214. This is going to be a last thing, real quick. Right? This is next week. It's a preview of coming attractions. For free. They set out from Bethel, and when there was still a distance short of Ephrat. So they're moving southward. Bethel's north, Ephrat's south. Today it's at Sion. Rachel was in childbirth, and she had a hard labor. And her labor was at its hardest. The midwife said, "Have no fear, it's another boy." And she breathed her last, and she was dying. And she named him Ben-Oni. Mothers name the kids. And what is Ben-Oni? Child of my suffering. Child of my suffering. So Jacob, who lives 47 or 38, 47 years, says to Pharaoh, "I've lived 147 bitter years." Rachel's last words, she names her son as she's dying in childbirth, Ben-Oni, the son of my pain. And her journey has been a painful journey. She waited for children. They didn't come. Finally, they came. She sees what happens in the dynamic of this family. Ben-Oni. But Jacob renames the boy Ben-Yamini. Bin-Yamin, which means what? Son of my strength. Son of my bounty. Ben-Oni becomes Ben-Yamini. In a certain way, that's the end of this part of the journey. Why? Because Jacob now looks back and he sees this 20-year trek from the egocentrism of the beginning to a man who now has family, to a man who has been defeated by life, to a man who's been cheated, to a man who's been broken, and yet looks back and says, this was all necessary for me to become the man that I needed to become. And Ben Oni, the son of my pain, becomes Ben Yemini, the son of my strength. He's the last kid. Yeah, exactly. It's resilience, but you don't know resilience until you've been knocked down and learn how to get up. You don't know growth until you've been broken, defeated, and rise up from it. That's why he becomes Ben Oni. He gets, Jacob translates the name. No longer Ben Oni. No longer the son of brokenness and pain and bitterness, but Ben Yemini, the son who represents this amazing journey when I became the man that I was meant to be. That's the narrative arc of the journey. This last kid represents the gifts of the previous years. And if you can look back at your life, at all of the difficult moments, the painful moments, the defeats, the tragedies, and still say, I learned from this. This helped me grow a soul, then there's a certain redemption in that. Next week, we come home, and we get to meet the brother we left behind. So next week, we'll see if there's peace. At 12:30, we're going to learn with Sarah, so please come back. Have some blintzes, have some lunch, come in to learn with us. Have a good Shabbat. Take good care. Happy Thanksgiving. Yo!
I have two questions.
Okay, Giveret, I have to run in the other room. So.
Bamakom is definite.
Yeah.
Bamakom. And the makom had a name.
Yeah.
So